You're listening to the Telltale channel. Don't forget to check me out on all social media: Patreon, Twitter, Teespring, and Etsy. All links can be found in the description or on my website, telltaleatheist.com. Hey, this is Owen. If you're comfortable, leave your first name and state at the sound of the tiny truck backing up.
Hey, Owen. My name is Conrad. I've been doing some research lately, and I've heard of this, discovered this thing called religious trauma syndrome, and a Dr. Marlene Winnell, and I'm just interested to hear your thoughts on it. Thanks a bunch. I really appreciate what you do.
I've known about religious trauma syndrome for years, actually. I even talked about it in some of my older videos, but it's a fairly new concept. It's not very old. So I figured what we would do is we would just take a quick glance at this article about it. As you mentioned, it was kind of invented, I guess you could say, conceptualized by Marlene Winnell. Let me just define it before we actually read the article. The definition is RTS, or religious trauma syndrome, is a function of both the chronic abuses of harmful religion and the impact of severing one's connection with one's faith and faith community. It's a huge shock to the system and one that needs to be recognized as trauma. So that is what religious trauma syndrome is. Now let's just give this short article a read. The recovery process. Breaking away from your faith has an impact on your life, and probably a profound one. You may be feeling confused, guilty, empty, or bitter. You may be depressed about life or scared of the future. Perhaps you have trouble connecting with other people and life in the world, quote unquote. You are not alone in your experience. Many, many others have been through this and gone on to reconstruct their lives in meaningful and satisfying ways. While the experience of losing your religion is often painful and confusing at first, there's much to be learned and ultimately a profound maturity to be gained. This book can provide some assistance in your recovery by clarifying the issues involved. So this is about the book that this woman wrote, Dr. Marlene Winnell, and this is actually on the website Recovering from Religion. It's an extremely valuable book, very interesting, worth the read. She's not paying me to say this. I just think it's an interesting subject to cover. So give it a look if you're interested. Religious trauma syndrome hasn't gotten the recognition that it deserves yet, but it is a legitimate study in psychology now. It is recognized as a legitimate study in psychology. So if you're not sure what to study in college right now, you're just getting out of high school or something, psychology may be an interesting field for you to cover, and maybe put an emphasis on religious trauma syndrome. It is an interesting subject, and who knows how many people you could help ultimately by learning about it.